Hello everybody, and just here and welcome back to Unnamed Memory episode 12, the finale. Or so I thought. I really thought that this episode is going to be a nice epilogue, essentially, right? I mean, the previous episode was the perfect closure, after all. Every single storyline essentially got a nice closure, more or less, right? Like, Oscar's curse issue got solved, right? They got married. Tinasha is fine with marrying him now. Leonora has been defeated. Lanak has been defeated. There are some tensions between those different countries. Maybe we could do something with that. But ultimately, the story was about Tinasha and Oscar, and their story got the perfect closure. So in today's episode, we're probably going to see a little glimpse at their married life, right? Maybe we're gonna do some time skip, and they're gonna be surrounded with children, right? That's what I expected. And then I heard that the second season is gonna be a thing, and I've no clue how. I've no idea how. Genuinely. I thought all this time that those 11 episodes covered pretty much the entirety of the light novel by cutting out a lot of detail, yes, but ultimately the light novel ends with Tinasha and Oscar being married and maybe some married life, and that's what the show also ends with. But apparently there is more. Apparently this season covered like 3 of 6 volumes of the light novel, so the second season is probably going to cover another 3, so it's probably going to be just as rushed, if not more. And apparently there is also like a sequel series to the light novel, so there's a lot, apparently. I've no clue what. I've absolutely no idea what they're gonna do. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we're gonna get more into the politics between countries, right? Like, there are still some things that remain unanswered, like the magic balls. We don't know what they are. Maybe they're gonna be significant somehow. Maybe someone's gonna try to steal them. Something about them, right? Maybe, again, war between two countries. We might still have some material, but I really thought that the story is done with Tinasha and Oscar being married. We'll see, of course. In the previous episode, though, what exactly happened? Well, in the previous episode, we went to save a princess of some country who was trapped in a palace in the middle of the desert, surrounded by a sandstorm, and they got in, and they attracted Leonora and her goon, whose name I don't remember, and they fought, and Leonora brought the Amber Palace that I thought that, like, the people inside of the palace were still supposed to be there, kept in stasis or whatever, but that never gets touched upon, so maybe or maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, Leonora brings it up and gets more power thanks to some butterflies. Meanwhile, Oscar is fighting Leonora's goon and summons Tinasha by ripping the armband off, which lets Tinasha know that he needs help. And then Tinasha and Leonora swap opponents, which makes sense, right? Because Tinasha and Oscar swap opponents, which makes sense, because Oscar has an anti-magic sword, so it's really good against witches and not so good against demons, probably, maybe. Meanwhile, Tinasha is probably a little bit more better against the demons, so they win. Of course, Leonora is dead, her goon is dead. Apparently there was some budding romance between them or something, I don't know. That's what that death scene would let me to believe. And then, oh, of course, and before this, like, decisive battle, Oscar asks Tinasha once again whether she wants to marry him, and she says yes, finally. And so after the battle is done, they get married. There is a nice ceremony, and where Tinasha, of course, kneels in front of Oscar. Yes, my master, I give all of myself unto you. Please be so gracious as to take little old me, style. And Oscar, of course, graciously agrees and takes her for a wife, as is befitting of a king. And apparently the Witch of Silence is also around there, who I really think at this point is Oscar's either mother or grandmother or someone like that. I don't know, maybe. We'll see, I guess. Because why would she be there, and why would she like resign herself kinda to her schemes being solved? Like, I'd expect her to maybe attack Oscar or attack Tinasha or recast her curse or something like that, but no, she was just standing passively in the audience watching the whole thing go by. And that's where the episode ends. Tinasha and Oscar kiss, and the season ends, as far as I'm concerned. So I've no idea what today's episode's gonna be, and I've no idea what the next season's gonna be. So I guess we should just see for ourselves, right? Like, my best bet right now is that in today's episode we're gonna see essentially an epilogue, right? Some, as I said, married life, maybe a bit of a hook into the next season. Sire, the neighboring country is attacking, or something along those lines. I don't know. I have no idea. We could as well just time skip 50 years and second season will be about Oscar's and Tinasha's children. Entirely plausible, really. But yeah, let's just stop talking and start watching, shall we? To do that, you will need your subs to follow along with me. Of course, as always, I'm gonna need my sound, see what's going on, and I'm gonna have to ask you for support. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon, YouTube down below, or not. Share my content, spread the word, cost nothing, helps a lot. On Patreon, early access to Wasuyu. And with that, we can start watching episode 12, the finale of Unnamed Memory, in 3, 2, 1, go. Cleaning up the tower. That was a weird animation. Is this the MacGuffin that will start the second season? Yeah, that's probably her necklace. It wasn't that long ago that we've seen it, so you don't need to show us flashbacks. Another magic ball? Yeah. It's the one that Tinasha got from that other country or something? Drop it! Drop the fucking bowl, you fool! Did he get isekai'd? Is Unnamed Memory officially an isekai now? And the forest, you're somewhere else. She's younger. Wait, did he go back in time? I guess so. How'd you figure it out, mate? Oh, apparently we're at the tower. Okay. Understandable. And you're trying to, like, save her from Lanak right now? I mean, apparently it is. Are those magic balls like time machines? Yeah, and it would be a completely different future as well, so doesn't really work, does it? Hmm. Okay, so I guess it's like an indirect way of showing us Tinasha's past, or rather, like a direct way. Instead of through flashbacks, we're gonna see it through like actual events. I guess so. I mean, he might as well be, honestly. He's not the best person around, is he? Okay, so are we like doing this whole time travel shtick in just this episode? Or is this going to be the second season? Oscar trying to go back to his timeline? Yeah, I guess it makes sense, yeah. Right, because she got taken by Lanak at her 14th birthday, right? I think so. It was a ball with some runes on it. Farsa's storehouse, or whatever it was. Well, apparently there is no, time travel either. Yes, exactly as he told you. Yep. I guess blue one lets you go back in time and red one lets you go forward. Or maybe both let you go back in time. That's why, what was her face? The maid was so desperate to get it because she wanted to go back in time to save her man. Oh, she can see the curse? Yeah, the blessing of the Witch of Silence and the curse of her own doing. Tinasha did mention that she learned to use a sword from someone. Was that someone Oscar of the past? And she just, like, forgot that Oscar is Oscar? Like, I don't know how time works here. Is it fractal time? Meaning Oscar being here in this timeline creates a divergent timeline, two divergent timelines? Or is it like straight timeline with essentially paradox prevention, which means that even in Oscar's timeline, Tinasha met Oscar in the past? Yeah, keep rizzing up that 13-year-old. Oh, shit. Yeah, I happen to have heard his name. It's the scent of another man. Why is he walking sideways? The blue ball? Oh, some foreshortening. No, he knows plenty, actually. Because he has a reason to, essentially. He wants to use you. Just make a familiar. Right, she was kinda, like, forced into being royalty, wasn't she? Right, because she had, like, the most magic power, so she was chosen. Maybe just tell her exactly what's gonna happen instead of the vague Lanark bad. Hmm. Okay. So we are going to solve it in the matter of a single episode, aren't we? Reluctantly, but yes. Is she going to go after him? Because she doesn't want to be left alone or something? No, I guess. Lanak? Yeah, mate, just grab it. Just fucking grab it! What you waiting for? Because you touched the bowl. Right, so do I want to save her this pain now and risk changing the timeline? Or would I rather she is happy in 400 years as my bride? That's the choice? I guess there's no choice. Sure, okay. I guess he did not go back. After all. Why did the bowl glow then? You should have aimed better, Oscar. How does the timeline work here? Like, is he gonna bring child Tinasha into his timeline and he and Tinasha are going to raise Tinasha as their daughter? Or is Tinasha from his timeline suddenly going to have those memories injected into her head? Or what's gonna happen exactly? What sort of timey-wimey fuckery are we doing here? Not to mention that if this isn't done, then Tinasha never awakens as a witch. So her powers are different. She never gets the support of the spirits of Tuldar. Or is she going to awaken as a witch now? Like, basically like a canon event. She has to awaken as a witch one way or another. Oscar, are you just standing there? I guess Oscar is just standing around and watching. Sure, Oscar. Go ahead and do nothing. I'm glad you were around to prevent this from happening. Boy, sure am I glad that you came here to save Tinasha. Boy, am I glad that you have an anti-magic sword. that she could use any moment to stop magic. Like this thing. Boy, howdy, I'm glad Oscar was here. Okay, so I guess the destruction of Tuldar is the canon event. You got the touch. You got the power. Okay, and I guess she is going to reawaken as a witch now because of all this power, but Tuldar will not be destroyed. Right? That's going to be the difference in this timeline? Or is it still going to wipe the country? No, I guess not. I guess Tuldar still stands. I mean, I know that she's not 13 anymore, but she's 14. That's still below the age of consent. uh, uh, ah? Was that Oscar? Okay, so I guess you overwrite the timeline. Okay. Why would you disappear? I mean, yeah, duh. Exactly, you essentially making the choice for her, taking everything from her, giving her something else in return, yeah, but you cannot be sure that the life she's going to lead now is going to be better than the life she's led. For all you know, she could be miserable as a queen and assassinated the next day after ascending the throne. So I'm really not fine with this being portrayed as something whimsical. But wait, the bull glowed again in his hands. So what was that? Did he go even further back in time, or what? What the fuck? So, So what's gonna be season 2 then? Tinasha trying desperately to bring Oscar back, to direct her timeline in a way that Oscar gets born? Is Tinasha the Witch of Silence, who will curse Oscar so that she can later lift that curse from him? What the absolute fuck? Okay, those are the spirits. Fight with Leonora, this dude. The Queen of Tuldar, yeah, sure. Is she going to go back in time now? Is she going back in time? Is that what it is? She's gonna go back in time to bring Oscar back. Then Oscar's gonna go back in time to save her from something. Then she's gonna go back in time to save Oscar. Then Oscar's gonna get back. Is this what we're doing? Is this what season 2 is gonna be? Whew. Oh boy. I want all of Mr. Oscar's wild ride. Let's watch it again. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's the thing that she got, the pendant. And the ball just randomly fell down. And he's reacting to it somehow. Like, I don't know, his head hurts or something. And the ball got activated. Why was it activated by him? There were multiple other people who were handling it. Why was it him in particular who activated it? I don't know. I really thought that we're doing some isekai shit here. There is that one isekai manga that I read where the main character used some like ultra hyper giga powerful magic that wiped the timeline and essentially isekai'd him from that isekai world into a parallel timeline to that isekai world. And he had to build up all of his team and everything like that from scratch. It was kind of like a way of resetting the timeline, maybe. I don't know if the author wrote themselves in a corner and wanted a hard reset or what happened there, but it happened. So I thought we might be doing something similar here, like Oscar gets isekai to a parallel universe where Tinasha is not a witch, but he himself is a wizard. Or he got teleported into the future or into the past or something like that. And yeah, he got teleported into the past when Tuldar and I guess this is where the tower was. So it was a Lash place. Apparently all of Farsas maybe was Lash at some point. Here's 13-year-old Tinasha. Came here for your help, right? And I mean, I really thought at this point that it's gotta be an isekai, because he really got over what happened as quickly as an isekai protagonist. Essentially, oh, I got back in time. It's the year 236, 400 years before my time. Okay, sure, I guess. Let's go find Tinasha. But I guess there was more in the source material. Yeah, 654. No magical law that lets you go back in time. So I guess there are some like enchanted items or magical items or whatever you want to call them that like break the law of magic. Something like that. I don't know. Items that break rules of magic. Maybe. Yeah. Raising up the 13-year-old. Tinasha revealing that she's always feeling alone, that she couldn't ever be lonely, and then Oscar realizing that she's been lonely for those 400 years, and maybe that made him make the decision that he did. I don't know. Yeah, this one was red. Why was it red exactly? Is there any difference that the color makes? I don't know. I'm assuming that the maid wanted this ball for the same purpose, to be able to go back in time. But it didn't take her back in time. Oscar was unable to use it either. Or is it maybe like the blue ones are working and the red ones are spent? Like you can use that ball only once? But why would the balls remain in the timeline as red if the timeline gets wiped? That's a good question, isn't it? So, I mean, red time balls are used up, blue are full charge. Something like that comes to my mind. It was my mother's keepsake. It doesn't exist in Farsas in this era. Right. It probably exists somewhere else. Yeah, the curse. Now, Tinasha got his blood sample here, so I wonder if something's gonna happen with that. Like, I don't know. She uses his blood to clone him or something. Maybe. Oscar's blood sample Tinasha took matters somehow. Maybe it allows her to bring him back. Maybe it allows her to artificially create the Farsas bloodline or whatever. I don't know. Spending some time nicely together, having fun. Teaching her how to fight. What's this animation? Oh, I guess he's like walking to the side, but also towards the camera. That's what it's supposed to be, but it just looks like he's sliding sideways. Lanak bad, I don't believe you. I want my parents back. I want to be normal, but I'm too strong. Yeah, away into the treasury. I'll be your husband. Why did I come to this era? I don't know. Because the ball made you come here? I could save her from that tragedy, but 400 years later she smiles so happily. Yeah, I mean, that's the choice here, isn't it? And I really don't think it's a choice that any single person can make. Basically, a choice between this person can be... This person I know for sure will be happy in the future, and I know for sure that, yes, there will be struggle, but ultimately, Farsas will prosper. Ultimately, Tinasha will be happy. Ultimately, there will be more or less peace in the region, right? Or I give it a wild shot and pray and hope that Tinasha surviving and not becoming a witch somehow ends up in a better timeline, which is not a given. It's really not a given. Like, sure, maybe if... Sure, he saved her from Lanak. Who's to say she's not going to die to a dragon or something, because the destruction of Farsas and her awakening as a witch gave her enough strength to fight the dragon. But in this timeline, Farsas was not destroyed, she did not absorb maybe all of that power, or the power was different or something, and she was unable to defeat the dragon, she died. Who's to say? Who's to say that the other nations will not rise up against Tuldar and just completely raze it to the ground, killing Tinasha in the process? Could very well happen. Who's to say the timeline keepers, or whoever the fuck they were at this point, are not going to reverse what Oscar already achieved? Right? We know that there are some certain canon events in the world. The timeline keepers told us as much. We don't know what they are, but Oscar claims he knows better. Two joined memories. See, this made me believe that maybe what we're doing here is timeline merge of some sort. Tinasha will be saved by Oscar, but at the same time, she will not be saved by Oscar, right? Two different timelines that diverged and then merged back. And Tinasha gets both versions of her memories. Maybe, and she's gonna be much confused about it, or something like that. Or maybe her memories get replaced by the memory of Oscar saving her, and she's gonna be a different person once Oscar goes back to his timeline, or something like that. But no, apparently Oscar decided to stay here, which makes me question, why did the ball glow? I don't know. Yeah, he decided to save Tinasha. Right, and then he decided to just stand back and not do shit. Yep, rejecting Lanak, of course. And Lanak just makes an offering out of himself. All the while, Oscar is just standing there watching. Just doing absolutely fuck all. Did he know Lanak is gonna die in the process? Probably not. Did he know it's gonna summon this big, bad power? Probably not. And yet he did nothing to stop it. I really thought that maybe we're going for something like... Again, there are like canon events in the timeline that must happen one way or another. Right? Tuldar's destruction and Tinasha becoming a witch, for example. She did not become a witch through absorbing Lanak's spawned power. Tuldar was not destroyed by that power going wild, sure, but instead the power will go wild and destroy Tuldar anyway, because it wasn't Tinasha, but even though it wasn't Tinasha, but Lanak who freed it. Tinasha will become a witch despite that, because she will try to save Tuldar anyway. She will make a futile attempt at saving Tuldar, she will become a witch, Tuldar will end up destroyed anyway, right? Those are canon events that must happen in the timeline. That's what I thought. But no. Apparently not. Apparently she's able to stop this power, absorb it, or something. And, so we won't meet again. There's no way for me to return anymore. How did you figure it out? Yeah, a legend. Swordsman who traveled from the future to save his mother and then disappeared. Yeah, sure. A legend, though. And did a legend mentioned pretty much offhandedly really gave you this sort of certainty? The moment you travel back in time, a new history begins to take place. I'm not gonna lie, I kinda like this plotline. That if you go back in time, you don't diverge into a separate timeline. No, your original timeline gets fucking wiped. You overwrite what happened. I like it. But not the way it got used here. Not in this presentation, I guess. Right? Like, I would like it as maybe a device for a tragic story or something, right? A character goes back in time thinking, oh, I'm gonna save the world or something. That timeline, sure, it's gonna exist still, so, no hard feelings, right? I don't feel particularly bad because that timeline is still going to continue to exist. All of my friends are still gonna be alive. I'm just not gonna be there. And then that character discovers, holy shit, that's not what it does. It overwrites the timeline completely. I fucked up. Some of my friends might not ever be born. The country I lived in might not ever exist. I fucked up. Right? I would like it maybe in that context. It would be interesting. And then maybe trying to look for a way to somehow turn it back, to somehow, reverse that or whatever, right? Maybe something like that. But this is just, I don't know. Oscar figures out of nowhere what this ball does. He just comes to terms with it incredibly quickly. Decides to, at least he makes a, assuming he can actually tell with full certainty that yes, this is what the ball does. Assuming this is true, he actually did make probably the best decision he could have. Legitimately. If his timeline is lost anyway, if he can't go back there anyway, might as well try to save Tinasha. Sure, it makes sense. I'm gonna give it that. I'm still not sure if any single person should be able to even make that choice, to even make the decision between, I'm going to change the timeline, change the events that happened, and hope for the best, right? Like, who's to say that if someone went back in time and killed Hitler when he was still back in art school, who's to say today's world would not be worse? Right? Maybe the progress of science would not be fueled by the huge scientific and technological race of World War II. And we would still be having, like, watching movies on VHS. Maybe. Right? Who's to say? Who's to say it would not lead to a bigger imbalance of power somewhere in the world, and maybe in the year 1992, the Soviet Union would have launched nukes and the world would be annihilated. Maybe. Entirely plausible that the world would actually look worse. Entirely plausible that it would be better. Absolutely. But are you confident enough to make that decision? Are you confident enough to risk it? I don't know if I would be. It's a magic implement to change the past and override history. Right. Now that I've fulfilled my role, I should disappear as well in due time. I guess it's because in this timeline, Oscar would never be born. Or alternatively, in this timeline, Oscar would never meet Tinasha in the way that he did, and thus he would never get access to the ball, and thus he would never go back in time. So we get a paradox, and the only way to solve that paradox is to remove Oscar from this timeline. Probably. I wouldn't have chosen to change the past. Yeah. Exactly. It's like denying the past she's led as a witch. Exactly. It's really denying her all that she went through. It's denying her 400 years of life. It's denying the world 400 years of existence. It's denying the birth of so many people. It's denying the creation of so many countries. It's denying the creation of so many relationships. It's denying the creation of so much art and technology. It's denying 400 years of existence. Ultimately. But I agree that I understand that he doesn't regret this result. Again, if the timeline is lost anyway, might as well do what he believes is best. Sure, I can see that. even if we never met. And then he disappears and Tinasha cries. And we get a bunch of scenes showing how the world looks. After that, Tinasha waging war on something, someone, with her really cool sword rapier thing. More fighting with her like spirit shadow people. Casting some big spell with her spirit shadow people. Fighting Leonora. Yeah, subjugating this dude or making a pact with him of some sort. And then being crowned the Queen of Tuldar in an Azure Tower, I guess. And then she goes to sleep and we get this really ominous at this point. Everything can be rewritten. Ominous because it really leads me to believe that they're just gonna keep rewriting the time. It really leads me to believe that Tinasha will go back in time now. And then Oscar. And then Tinasha. And then Oscar. And then Tinasha. Until they achieve a timeline that they're perfectly happy with. Oh boy. Tinasha goes back in time now in season 2, probably. Cool. Cool. Man, was this episode unnecessary. Like, honestly, if they stopped at episode 11, it would be perfectly fine. It honestly would be perfectly fine if they did that. If season 2 started with this episode, that would be fine. Right? That would be perfectly fine. But as it is, we get a bunch of timey-wimey shenanigans that kinda make the entirety of this season not matter. Right? Like, if we started with this episode, what if that happened, right? We start following Tinasha. Tinasha as a child, we get a day from her life, then suddenly weird man appears, claims to be her husband from the future, claims to have a dragon that she gifted him, tells her that he came here from the future. What the fuck is going on there? And Tinasha has to figure it out. She has to go through that and ultimately decides to help that weird man. And the weird man helps her, saves her in the time of need, and she cannot help but wonder who was he as she goes through her life as a queen, as she goes through all of the events and the wars. She cannot help but wonder and look for him, like passively, right? Maybe someone somewhere heard of one Oscar Farsas. Maybe on the off chance, right? It would be interesting as a starting point as well. And then something happens. Maybe Tinasha gets her hands on the ball and goes back in time or something. And we get the backstory on Oscar, how he came here, right? If the order was reversed, it would be so cool. Because we get Tinasha's life as a queen, and then we get a backstory for the man who saved her in the past or in the future. Kinda, sorta. Nothing gets lost, nothing gets erased, things get explained instead. As it is now, things just get erased. Everything they went through, their triumph over Lanak, their triumph over Leonora, them all of their like courtship and all of the good times they spent together, their marriage, like saving Oscar from poison, saving Tinasha from poison, all that shit no longer matters because it no longer exists. And I'm really wondering at this point, why should I care about season 2? You know? That's kind of the question that I have. Why should I care about season 2 now? None of the people that, or rather, out of all the people I grew to know and like, only Tinasha remains. Oscar has disappeared. He's not here. All of the generals of Farsas, all of the people that we would have met in the source material, I assume we didn't really spend much time with them in this adaptation, but we would have met and spent time with them. All of them are gone. The queen is gone. Lucrezia, I don't know, maybe she's gone as well, or at least she's a different person. Only Tinasha remains. And is it enough? I wonder. I guess it depends entirely on what the second season is going to be. If the second season is going to be just now essentially Tinasha's adventures, that's gonna fucking suck. Because I can say I'm particularly interested in that. If the second season ends up being more timey-wimey shenanigans, and Tinasha maybe trying to fix the timeline somehow, maybe bring the timeline that Oscar destroyed somehow back, or maybe, I don't know, hearing of, oh, you know, the Farsas thing exists, and there's a king who had a son, and he named his son Oscar, and maybe Tinasha is going to meddle from behind the scenes to try to, I don't know. That would be better, I guess. But ultimately, though, again, why should I care? Why ever should I care? I really think that Oscar made the best decision he could. So, surprisingly, I'm not going to rag on him. Because, for the first time, I actually understand his actions. And I actually can, like, empathize with them to a degree. But the rest of it? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And it also came, like, completely out of nowhere. I would understand it if there was, like, a reason for him going back in time and then discovering that I fucked up, you know? Like, that would be good. That would be good. That would be so good. Like, they discover that because Tinasha swallowed all of the power of Tuldar, and because she's no longer a virgin, that power threatens to, like, rip itself out of her chest and kill her. And Oscar figures out that she's hiding that fact from him, and he wants to save her. And he figures out, shit, if only I could go back in time to save her from Lanag, right? Change the timeline a little bit, and then go back here and hope that Tinasha is still the same person, or maybe court her again, or, right, stuff like that. If only I could do that. And he figures out, oh, there's this ball. Turns out those balls can allow me to go back in time. So he takes the ball, goes back in time, and then realizes, I fucked up. The OG timeline is erased. That would make sense if there was a reason. But right now it looks like, you know, oh shit, those highlighters they're taking me back in time. Whoa! Like, makes no sense. Or rather, I mean, makes sense. Yes, it does. It even remains internally consistent with the world. Yes. But it could have been handled better. All I'm saying. Maybe it was better in the source material. I don't know. But it was not good here. It's all I'm saying. And really, it really makes me wonder about season 2. If the show ended at episode 11, it would have been a good like perfect ending, right? They get a good end, close the book, we're done here. Fin. Maybe second season can be about them already being married, having children, and having to deal with the politics of other countries trying to attack us. Some country doesn't like the fact that Farsas is a witch for a queen and is attacking or claiming that Farsas is an illegitimate ruler, and maybe someone appears somewhere randomly and claims themselves to be the rightful ruler of Farsas. Meanwhile, Oscar is just a clone created by the witch to gain power, right? Those sorts of plots. Or maybe we deal with the desertification of the country. The country is a desert for a reason, and we try to uncover why exactly that is. Maybe there's some ancient evil being sealed, and we have to defeat it, right? There are, like, ways to carry on from there. If this episode was the finale of the light novel, sure, it would also be fine. If it was the finale of this season and I didn't know about the sequel, it would make some modicum of sense. Like, it would not be fine because it essentially erased the entire season, but it would still be a closure, right? Some sort of a weird closure of, look how devoted Oscar is to Tinasha. He erased himself and his timeline in order to save her from so much suffering, right? Like some sort of a 50 Shades of Grey bullshit like that. I could see that happening. Like young adult romance novel, basically. Yeah. But I know there's a season 2, and I know that none of the characters that I liked, none of the characters that I wanted to know more about are going to be there. The wizard people from Farsas court are not gonna be there. The two generals, the girl with short hair and the dude with spiky hair, are not gonna be there. Lazar is not gonna be there. Lucrezia is not gonna be there, or at least is gonna be there in some different capacity. Tinasha remains. That's the constant here. But all the other people are just fucking gone. Like, imagine if... I don't know. What would be a good example? Imagine if you're watching... Shit, nothing comes to mind. Sorry. Fuck it, Shield Hero. You're watching Shield Hero, right? You've seen 3 seasons of Shield Hero. It's cool. Great. Cool, I'm excited to see what's gonna happen next. Now Fumi grabs a pen. Pen gets him back in time to when he can save Raftalia from being a slave. He saves her, realizes that the timeline has been erased, and disappears. Raftalia, Mr. Raftalia, I don't feel so good. And seasons 4 and forward are told from Raftalia's perspective, with Philo not being there, Malti not being there, none of that being there. Like, imagine what a kick in the nuts it would be. This is it. This is that kick in the nuts. I would lie if I said I'm not curious though. In the exact same way that I was curious about Arifureta. Like, where are they going to take it from there? And turns out that season 2 of Arifureta was actually kind of fucking good. So it actually got in, like, you know, a good direction. But this sort of a morbid curiosity kind of propels me. Will I watch season 2 of Unnamed Memory? Probably yes. Probably yes. Out of curiosity, if nothing else. Like, I have to see at least where they're trying to take it. I have to see at least those, like, first 2 or 3 episodes to figure out whether it's Tinasha going to try to take the timeline back, Or is it just going to be Tinasha's bizarre adventures? Or is it going to be Tinasha trying to groom the 5-year-old Oscar Farsas into being her perfect husband? Or what exactly is going to happen there? I need to know at least this much. So I'm gonna watch it, out of morbid curiosity. But if I didn't know that there is a second season, I would not be left wanting for it. Absolutely not. I would be perfectly fine without the second season. But because I know that it's gonna be there, I'm gonna fucking watch it. I'm gonna fucking do it again. Almost forgot about theories. Usually I go through the theories first and then go through the through my spiel. So we went through the spiel. Let's go through the theories now. I have a surprising amount of them, like 2 pages almost, which is plenty for a 12 episode show. Let's see if anything at all gets answered or clarified at any point whatsoever, shall we? The Witch of the Silence was the king's lover or admirer. That's why she killed his wife and cursed his lineage to never bear an heir. We don't know that. The witch did not seclude. The witch did not seclude herself for no reason, did it despite herself. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Tinasha did not seclude herself for no reason. Did she do it despite herself? Kinda, sorta. Guess yellow. More women resistant to magic in Oscar's environment. Childhood friend, priestess girl. That would be kinda nice to see, wouldn't it? Right? But we have seen none of the childhood friend or the priestess girl. So, more women resistant to magic in Oscar's environment? Can't say I remember any. So I'm gonna say no, or at least it wasn't shown in like particularly big capacity. Oscar's cousins were disappeared by the witch who cursed him. We don't know that. Cousins were kidnapped by the witch for some purpose. We don't know that. Monster gems are useful. Yeah, I guess the maid did use a monster gem to create a monster, so yeah, I guess. Monster crystal corruption with purple. Yeah, monster crystal did get covered with purple, and I've no clue what it was, so I'm gonna leave it. Valt and Miralis. Yeah, Miralis was the name of the maid girl. Are time travelers. I don't know. There's some timey-wimey about them, but I'm not sure if they're time travelers necessarily. I wonder, actually, I'm gonna add this theory. Time can be traversed. Timelines do not get erased. Valt, Miralis, and their ilk know how. Maybe they can actually travel in time. Meanwhile, all of the attempts at time travel that humans devised end up with not being able to go back to the OG timeline. Maybe it's not so much that it gets erased as much as you cannot go back. Maybe. Miralis is a priestess protecting something or someone. No, not really. I don't think so, at least. Tinasha is afraid of losing control of her magic or something, trains Oscar to kill her. That's pretty much exactly what happens. Tinasha lost control once already, yeah, which led to the destruction of Tuldar. Miralis is protecting Meredina. Who the fuck was Meredina? Who the flying fuck was Meredina? Let me check that right quick. Does she have a portrait? Not here. Maybe on any list. Or rather on Mal. Meredina. No, can't remember for the life of me. Characters and stuff. Come on, load already. Yeah, characters and voice actors. Yes, that's what I want to see. Meredina. Oh, the one of the generals, the short-haired blonde girl. Miralis is protecting Meredina. No, she wasn't. They have absolutely nothing to do with each other. White-haired dude leads Kaskul. White-haired dude being Lanak. Kaskul being that country of mages that he created, right? Am I getting the names correctly? I think so. If so, then that's true. He is Tinasha's former master, mentor, created her. I guess former master slash mentor did not create her, but Witch of Silence cursed the Farsas family because she was scared of what they can become. Probably not, although we don't know. The curse Tinasha cast on Oscar was something else. We don't know. 5 magical lakes are important. Yes. To kill Lanak? No, not really. To resurrect Tinasha? No, not really. To defeat Lanak? Kinda, sorta. To, like, thwart his plans more like, but... Tinasha disappeared people to a safe location. Yes, she did. Irritidia. One true god is a witch of silence. We don't know that. Probably not, though. Ponytail mage girl causes issues. She ceases to fucking exist. That's what she does. I am going to call you back, whoever you are. Tinasha is Witch of Silence. Maybe. Might be onto something here. Lanak is back. No. Not in this timeline, at least. Show ends with Tinasha's contract. No, actually, I think it continues past that point. The balls are memory or history storage. No, not really. Unless the ball doesn't actually rewrite the history, but rather makes Oscar, like, experience it. Like, it's a VR thing, essentially. Maybe. Balls contain alternate timelines, right? Like, he jumped in, he saved Tinasha, did all that good stuff. He was satisfied with what he achieved, and he got taken out of the ball back into his timeline. That would probably be the best possible outcome. I'm not gonna lie. This would legitimately be the best possible outcome. Blue Swordsman, the one from the legend, is Oscar's or Tinasha's ancestor. No, not really, not as far as we know. Timey-wimey shenanigans. Oh boy, howdy! Do we get timey-wimey shenanigans? Timeline is slowly crumbling, changing, butterfly effect. No. The desertification of Yarda is not natural. Safe to assume, but we don't get a proper explanation. Elsa and One Armed Bandit are drawn together because it's a canon event that has to happen for timeline to be stable. Fuck if I know. We've seen them once and they disappeared. Episode 10 is where Oscar and Tinasha have children after a time skip. Nope, actually. Did not happen at all. Oscar was born magical. King and Queen sealed it as a stopgap measure, then changed the country to be friendlier to magical people. Maybe, we don't know. Oscar's mother and Witch of Silence were sisters. We don't know. Oscar's mother was a witch. We don't know. Aurelia, the girl with the demon dude, is infertile. Probably. What do you want? My cat came here demanding attention. And the rest are theories that I made in this episode. So ultimately, we really don't get that many. It's like this half and this, not that many answers. And this episode raises even more questions. Holy fuck. What an episode in it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end it here. It's 29 fucking degrees inside. I'm dying here. So I'm gonna go grab myself an ice cream or something. And maybe something to eat. And yeah, I'm gonna think about this episode a little. Holy shit. In any case, there's gonna be a seasonal stream. If you didn't know, it's up on YouTube already. You can go there and to the waiting room. It's also an event on Discord, so you might want to check it out. I'm gonna be looking at the next season's shows. It's gonna be fun. It's always fun every single season. So be there or be square, or however they say it. Regardless, what a fucking episode in it. Time to end this. So as always, yeah, how does my outro go? But you guys, you tell me. I'm really fucking curious. What did you think of this episode? Of my reaction, my theories, stuff like that, in the comments down below. I would still ask you to not spoil me anything. I know I'm ragging on this show a lot, but please don't spoil anything to me. I want to witness this fucking car crash myself. So if you do want to talk spoilers, you can do that on the Discord as always, but keep the comments clean, please. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe to be notified of future videos like Unnamed Memory Season 2 whenever that comes out. Kaiju number 8, Washio Sumi chapter, Kaito Otome, Sentai Daishikaku, Spice and Wolf. Plenty others coming in the future. If you want to watch a good romance, Spice and Wolf is fucking amazing. Click the bell to be notified when those videos go out and when I go live, because as I said, I do sometimes, like for seasonal streams, for example. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon down below, where for $10 a month you get early access to non-seasonal shows, and for just $1 you get a role on the Discord and a place in the credits. You can also support me directly on YouTube membership, super thanks, super chats. God knows I need money because I really need an AC here. It's 30 fucking degrees. And if you don't want to spend any money, of course you don't have to. Share my content, spread the word. It costs absolutely nothing and helps a lot. And with that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And with that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for my wonderful patrons. QB, Without a Net, Zarene, Yuki Ala, Ishtamu, Dr. Ward, Akamas, Ramash, Fasan, and Hans Peter. And you can join them if you want without having to go back in timeline like this damn bass Oscar.